Welcome back to another episode of What Drives You. And I am super excited today to have, I'm Carl Bauer, one of the hosts. Stan Windhorn is my co host, and have a super special guest on that Stan knows very well. So, welcome to the show, Matt. And Stan, great to have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one, Carl. I've got my good buddy Matt Delahoussaye on the show today. Matt and I go back a long way. I have known Matt, man, it's going on probably close to 20 years. I was in the gym business. I was opening up a gym. It happened to be across the street from the house that Matt lived in there. He was one of the first guys to join my gym, and we just hit it off, and we've been friends ever since. Matt, thanks. I know Carl already thanked you, but thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me today. I was back in the old days when I was in the boat business.
Well, that's where I was going to start. Well, first of all, before we go, Carl, you got to know this, that I've had a nickname for Matt since the day I met him. I have called Matt the social director of all of Austin, Texas. That's been my nickname for him because Matt's just one of these guys who just draws people in, and he's very sociable and just I can't even remember half the people that I've met through Matt. But anyway, yeah, as Matt just said, when I first met Matt, he was sort of like in the boat business. Weren't you kind of selling secondhand boats, or I think he started off detailing boats or something, but then you were selling secondhand boats. Is my memory correct on that,
Well,
Matt?
sort of. Yeah, we did some consignment work, but mostly we were a dealer for cruisers yachts and Somerset houseboats and profile custom power boats. And I would captain the boats for people. I'd sell them the boats. And I started out originally, I washed the boats. I had a detailing business and I washed the boats, but I only had an ambition that I had a love for the boats. And so then I ended up selling my company and I went to work for a dealership on the lake and sold boats out the lake. Um, get driven out by the economics because it was poor economics at the time, and the boat business was not real good back then. So made some changes, significant changes since then.
Yeah, you sure have. So yeah, so kind of bring everybody up to speed. Matt was selling boats, as he said. It was right when the economy was sort of tanking, so luxury things like boats made it tough to make a living. Matt, how long after you were out of the boat business did you get into the commercial real estate business?
So that was back in the 90s, mid to late 90s when I was doing the boat business. And then I started doing residential real estate in the late 90s, early 2000s. And, I spent
You were just an agent at that time, though, right?
Yeah, I was just an agent. My wife at the time and I had a little company and we sold homes, and I spent several years doing that. That business kind of teared off a little bit with the economy again, and I then I became a pilot. I got my pilot's license just out of a whim, and then had a buddy of mine that was doing catastrophe claims at Hurricane Katrina and Rita. So I flew down there and I started running claims. Made a bunch of money doing that for about 6 months. And,
I remember
uh,
that. Yeah, you were
yeah.
gone whenever there was a big storm or whatever. You had to go and do like
Uh-huh.
roof appraisals or something like that, wasn't it?
It was a catastrophic situation. So anytime there's a catastrophe, I would go in and I'd basically write claims for Allstate and State Farm, and traveled all over the place doing it, and did too much traveling doing that. And that's whenever I finally came back and decided I'm just going to go full-time commercial real estate. That was probably early 2000s. I can't remember exactly when. And that's all I've done ever since. It's just commercial real estate world.
So when did you shift, Matt, from going from an agent, which, a good commercial real estate agent can certainly make a good living, but then you became a broker and started the company that you have now. Do I have that right?
Yeah, yeah, that was back, I want to say it was 2014, I believe, is when it started. It's been maybe 11 years ago or more. And, you know, at that point, I have a partner in my business, and she's the one that persuaded me. I didn't really have the ambition or desire to do it at the time. But then we started the company, and it's just grown ever since. I built a little business here, and we started out focusing on restaurants and bars in the general consensus, but now we do industrial developments. I've done lots of acquisitions. I personally own several properties now, and not only a broker, but now I'm a principal in a lot of the transactions.
Well, I do want to get to this because it has become a big part of my life, at least my social life. But your experience working with a lot of the different restaurants and bars, for those of you who don't know, Austin's had this reputation. We're the live music capital of the world. Downtown Austin, at least it used to be, just this great place to go. And you'd go from bar to bar and see all this different kinds of live music. And Matt, I know you brokered a lot of those bars and things downtown, which kind of gave you a pretty good education in the restaurant bar business, didn't it?
Man, they called me the bar guy in downtown Austin for many years because that's what I did. But that's what
Matt, we're
Austin.
talking about professionally, not where you spend all your spare time.
Well, it started out that way. We ended up doing real estate. So made a lot of friends in the industry. And, what had a guy ask me one time, he's like, do you sell bars? I'm like, yeah, sure I do. And so I started selling bars. And that's how it all started, to be honest with you. And back then, I mean, the bar scene was really hot in downtown Austin, and 6th Street was hopping, and it was a different time.
Yeah.
Kind of evolved from a lot of that. We still do a lot of bar restaurant work, just not significantly in that area. They're just kind of all over the place now. Austin has grown so much. When I first moved here, Austin was, I believe, 600,000 people. We're close to 3 million people now. And all the
Yeah.
submarkets and everything else has grown significantly. And so we focus a lot of our energy now outside of downtown. We work in all these different submarkets where there's a lot more opportunity and a little fair market rents, compared to downtown. And so we seek opportunity where there's demand, and that's what we do.
All right. Well, that brings me to my one of my favorite subjects, but I'm going to get to it. I'm working up to it, folks. This is the build up. So there's a little town outside of Austin, pretty far outside of Austin, called Jonestown. When I first moved here, Jonestown is I'll call it a quaint little town. It is on Lake Travis. It didn't necessarily have the best reputation in the world, at least locally. You used to say Jonestown, and people would say meth heads and lake rats.
Yep.
But just like I've seen happen when I lived in California, and I'm seeing now in Austin, things start growing out from the main hub, and things get gentrified, and we're certainly seeing that in the town of Austin, or I'm so sorry, the town of Jonestown. In fact, the development that Matt lives in, called Treviso, I don't think you're officially in Jonestown. You're just on the outside of it, the neighborhood, right?
Yeah, we're actually considered Leander right there, but yeah, it's real
You're
close.
Leander, but right next to Jonestown. But I
Right.
mean, beautiful homes, and this neighborhood is growing, just gorgeous, gorgeous homes. On the other side of Jonestown is another area called the Hollows. Do I got that right? The Hollows,
Yeah, the
which
Hollows. Mhm.
a lot of beautiful homes right on the lake. Anyway, I don't know how many years ago this was, but Matt invited me out to this little bar in Jonestown, Texas. There was a charity event that one of his friends was putting on. And it wasn't too long after that that Matt suggested that I buy this bar. And at that time, I'm like, first of all, I don't want to be in the restaurant bar business. And I certainly don't want one in Jonestown, Texas at this time. Little did I know that a number of years later, my good buddy Matt Delahoussaye bought that bar and restaurant, transformed it into what is now my second home. It is called the Lucky Rabbit, and I would call it pretty close to a runaway success. Um, what a great place to hang out. It's family oriented, there's live music all the time. There's a beautiful backyard, which I've had the pleasure of helping Matt do some renovations to and everything. But Matt, look, I want to talk about the success of the Lucky Rabbit, but before that, let's go back to what the Lucky Rabbit was before you got it, and take us through the process of transforming it into the awesome, cool place that it is now.
So, man, I've been doing bars and restaurants in Austin for years for other people. And so I've seen a lot of different things. I have a lot of great ideas, and my brain is just mush with all of this crazy stuff. And I know what people desire. And so what I did was this opportunity was a place called Rooney's back in the day. It was owned by a guy named Kermit, and Kermit was a school bus driver, and he did as much as he could have possibly afford to do with that little place. And it was a fun little place, had a little stage in it, and it was a dive bar, nothing spectacular. And he was just wanting to retire. And so we talked several times about me buying that real estate and doing something there. Well, then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, everybody in America, I think, moved out to that area. And so, but a lot of people from California, of course, so they called the Beverly Hills of Texas right there. A lot of California folks. So there was a generation of wealth that kind of moved out in that area, and there's nothing to do. And so I kind of tapped into my brain and thought about all of the different things I could do with that property to cater to everybody's needs and desires. And so when I bought the real estate, my wife thought I was crazy. My friends thought I was crazy. I gutted the place and took it down to nothing, and it completely rebuilt it from the ground up into what it is now. And we expanded that stage, made it twice as big, opened up that bar, um, took a piece of oak and built a bar that nobody else has ever had or ever seen. We got a 1958 school bus. We turned into a bar outside. In the spirit of Kermit being a bus driver, I put his name on the front of it and all. So he loved that. He was in tears when he saw it. The outdoor patio is about 20,000 square feet now. I bought the property next door and expanded all of that. Um, and there's kids running around that place all the time. My buddy Stan here built some games, some really cool axe throwing games to go on the patio. We built an outdoor stage.
Yeah.
Uh, Man, it's busy every night of the week. The place is really
Well,
busy. The whole area needed it. The food's good. I have really good operating partners. That's the key to it because I'm a real estate guy. I'm not an operator. I got great ideas, but I brought on some incredible people to run everything operationally, and that's what makes it work. You know.
yeah. I want to
Yeah.
talk. I want to touch on a few things you just said, Matt.
Sure.
Um, let's start with that location. I mean, everybody knows the cliche in real estate, it's location, location, location. What you saw, and I'm giving you full credit for this, I didn't see it back in the day when you asked me if I wanted to buy that building. What you saw was a need. And I think I don't want to put words in your mouth, but in my opinion, part of the success of the Lucky Rabbit, besides how cool you made it look and everything, is it caters to all these people who are still sort of out there when it comes to getting to downtown Austin or a lot of the entertainment type places. They really didn't have a place like that to go. So you're drawing in from both sides of the Lucky Rabbit. You're drawing in this clientele. Um, Expand on that a little bit for me, Matt. What's your thought on that?
Well, there's no place like it in the Austin area that I can think of because we check every box. We try to, it's a lot of families out there, and you look at your demographics, they're strongly financially capable, they're family oriented, they love the live music, which I've always had a passion for, and nobody really does it hardly anymore in Austin. um, the outdoor experience, these live oak trees on the patio are just massive and they're beautiful. Like we put lights in the trees and everybody loves just sitting out there, and we put fire pits on the patio in the wintertime, and there's people stacked around the fire pits, and we got little s'mores kits for the kids, and everybody just loves the kids can run around. It's all fenced in. They don't worry about them running out in the traffic or anything. Um, it's just it checks a lot of boxes in an area where 5 to 10 years ago, those people didn't live there, and they all moved out there, including myself. And ever since then, I started seeing, that nobody has anything fun or cool to do. You go into Cedar Park, it's a lot of the same old chain restaurants and this and
Yeah.
that. And there's not really any fun, cool places to go to. And so we created something that people come in from everywhere. I mean, they come in from Georgetown. I've seen them come in from Dripping Springs and Wimberley, to check out our place because they heard about it.
Yeah.
And then my wife does all the apparel, which the Lucky Rabbit apparel is all over the world. I get people sending pictures all the time of a Lucky Rabbit hat or a t-shirt or something. And my wife does all the apparel for the bar and does a significant job at that because, man, that stuff is all over the place. Our media group, um, they're incredible. They do a great job with all the marketing, um, booking some fantastic shows. We had the biggest night, or well, biggest day in our business since we've been open last Saturday. We had a big show there. Audich Empire played, and the place was full. Plus, we had a crawfish boil, so that always brings a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I know that I've spread the word a lot, and as it's been a few years since it's been open, and the more I talk to people about the Lucky Rabbit, they'll either say, "Oh, I've been there, I love that place," or "I've heard about that place, I've been meaning to get out there." And
right.
like we said, for a lot of people that we're talking about, they mean they got to get out there. It's still,
Sure.
if you live in most of
Mhm.
what people consider Austin or the more established suburbs, you got to
Right.
drive a little bit through the country to get out to the Lucky Rabbit, but it's been great.
Yeah.
Um, you touched on
Stan,
something else, and this is, oh, go ahead, Carl. I know, Carl,
can I jump in
I've
quick? And
made you go out there with me a few times when you visit town.
yeah, Matt, I'm sure you know this because you see him there all
Mhm.
the time, but Stan literally kidnapped me to get me to come visit the Lucky because he kept raving about it, and I'm like, Stan, I don't want to drive all the way out because there's some cool little spots by him, nothing compared to Lucky Rabbit. I would come
Right.
to find out, but
Mhm.
he's a raving lunatic for your business and that, and it is very, very unique. And if you think about like from Lakeway almost all the way to Marble Falls, there's nothing that is so unique with live music, with good food, with fair pricing.
Mhm.
Yeah, you've done an amazing job, and I don't know if you remember the first time I met you because I think I met you in person a couple times. You had come, you had a green afro because you had come from, and you were all painted up, and I'm like, who is this nut job? You had come from, I think, a soccer game or some big thing, and I was like, this is not
No, no,
going to
Carl,
this
that was just a Tuesday night for Matt.
No,
Tuesday.
it was a soccer game. I think it was a soccer game, and Verde was the color, right? And
Yep,
so, yeah, yeah, that's
yep.
fun.
So, and then the next time I met you, we were again back at the Lucky Rabbit because that's when I come to Austin, I have to go to Lucky Rabbit at least once, if not multiples. Um, we then gave you a lift home, and to see a successful person for me, this is the heart of a man or the what drives a person, no pun intended. When they just meet a complete stranger and invite them into your home, I think we had a couple friends with us besides Stan, and you opened up your home at like midnight. Come on in, guys. You want a cocktail? We'll lit up the fire pit. You showed us your motorcycle, your car, your. I was like, what a cool guy to trust. Obviously, you knew Stan, but just to let strangers in, and you weren't braggadocious at all. You were just like, hey, you like video? We went up to your little theater room, and just, I
Mhm.
mean, at that hour of the night to do that was just very, very accommodating and kind. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. And any friend of Stan's is a friend of mine. I've known Stan for a very long time, and I got a great group of friends in my life overall. But Stan has been a very close to me, probably longer than most. We go way back,
Well,
man.
and what you're talking about, Carl, is why he got the title of social director of all of Austin. That's just the way Matt rolls. Hey, I want to come back to the Lucky Rabbit because I tell this story all the time, and Matt, you touched on it about the bar itself. First of all, folks, if you ever get a chance to come out to the Lucky Rabbit, you'll see what we're talking about. But the way it was redone, there's just a lot of reclaimed material. There's some sinks that were made out of old little red wagons. The ceilings are old fencing and everything, but man, it just looks beautiful. But one of my favorite things about this, being a woodworker and a guy who loves to repurpose and refinish things, the bar itself, I'm not kidding you, it's probably this thick,
Mhm.
live edge, solid oak. And the
Yeah.
story is that the guy who was working on the Lucky Rabbit was out at a ranch where they were tearing down a barn. He wanted to get the barn wood,
Mhm.
and he saw a dead standing oak tree. Asked the guy what he was going to do with the tree, and the guy's like, "Well, I got to burn it down. It's going to fall and kill somebody." And Matt and the crew were like, "We'll take it." Cut it down, took it to the mill, and that beautiful, unique. The entire bar is all from one solid oak tree that would have been ashes on the ground. And I love everything about that story. Not only did you end up with an incredibly beautiful, unique bar, but I just love the fact that it would have been garbage had it not ended up in the Lucky Rabbit.
And that thing's probably about 8 inches thick, actually.
Yeah,
And it runs the span of that bar, by the way, is probably what, 30 feet long on one end, and then
yeah.
the other sides as well.
Besides, yeah.
It's massive, and it's it runs in the middle of I was doing all of this in the middle of COVID, right after COVID and all that. Things are still just kind of coming back. And anybody that's lived here for quite some time remembers the old Dallas nightclub. Well,
Yeah.
a friend of mine, Leo, that owns Mavericks, had the old Dallas nightclub and he turned it into something else. But he called me up and he says, "Hey man, I don't know if you're interested," because he knew I was building this place out, but they're tearing the building down. If you want to, I'll sell you everything in the bar. I got two brand new walk-in coolers and all this stuff. So I paid him a sum of money, I don't remember what it was, for everything, and went in there and we gutted the old Dallas nightclub. And also a lot of that wood, reclaimed wood you see on the ceiling and the rail, the handrails made out of rebar and all that came from like bars that got shut down on Rainy Street because they got redeveloped. The Dallas nightclub, a lot of repurposing. I would drive around the neighborhoods on the weekends with a trailer and look for people taking down old fencing and get those pickets and bring those in to do the ceiling. And so there's a lot of just repurposing. Nothing's new in there. Well, I say nothing. Kitchen equipment's new, but for the most
Well,
part,
the whole
like,
kitchen's new. You had to build that kitchen.
well, there was no kitchen. It was a screened-in porch with a fire pit, or a barbecue pit in it.
Yeah.
It was really poorly done. But it's funny at the end of the day, all of this stuff kind of came together and we continue to add to it. I went and bought a piece of live edge wood the other day, last week before I went to Cancun, because I'm building another sink inside and redoing all of that. But I'm always trying to add tremendous value to it because I own the real estate and the place is so unique. It's so different than anything else you'll ever see. And it's been a lot of fun. And it's been really good for my real estate business, because as a whole, when you're in this industry and people see what you're capable of, everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon. And so I get a lot of notoriety because of that place. And I'm doing some really cool things right now. And my real estate, by the way, is my main business. I know everybody knows me for Lucky Rabbit, but I have a group of very young guys that I've trained, and we do all kinds of commercial real estate. Um, we have we've got probably 150 clients on a continual basis. We're always working for a client, identifying opportunity. We made a lot of people a lot of money, as we're in the land of opportunity here in the Austin and the surrounding areas. We do stuff from here up to Georgetown. I mean, I just did a comedy club with the Joe Rogan group, guys that spawned off of that up in Fort Worth. We do all of the stuff for Scratch Kitchen, which is also part of the Joe Rogan group, NADC Burgers, ATX Sushi, is ATX Noodle. I'm trying to think about all the other restaurants and bars that we do. But overall, that is the most unique thing that I've ever seen because I've done so many different things. I've experienced a lot. And where we live out there, I can clearly see what people want and what they desire and what the market needs and what they can afford. I mean, we got bottles of tequila that are $500 a shot and we sell them. But then there's also the people that want the cheap drinks or whatever. So we cater to everybody. Not
Yeah.
everybody's wanting expensive alcohol, but we have really good food. I mean, I don't know anybody else that has the caliber of food, but my operating partners are former Jack Allen, Salt Trader, um, Z Tejas. Like he ran all these different restaurants. Him and his wife both have ran restaurants and bars their whole careers. And so we're expanding right now and adding more things. But
That's a perfect segue, Matt, to something that you said earlier, and I want to ask you about this before we try and wrap this up. But you've mentioned this now a couple of times that you have some partners in there. Matt and Sandra are the ones who kind of run the place. In fact, there's been a few times, Carl, where I've had some suggestions to Matt. Matt's like, yeah, 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 talk to the other Matt. There's a lot of Matts around there.
yeah,
But how important is it in any business or in life with surrounding yourself with the right people? I'd like to get your feelings on that, Matt.
it's incredibly important, man. I'm gonna tell you a story real quick. So when I first started doing this real estate thing on my own, I started bringing on agents and having a bunch of real estate agents. I had like 18 agents. And what I realized at that point was that we weren't catering to our clients' needs. We were simply doing transactions and not enough of them to make sense. So then I had a bunch of people that worked for me or not necessarily worked for me. They hung their license with me and nobody did as much. They weren't as productive. Since then, I've gotten rid of all of those people, and I have a small team of guys, young guys, that work directly with me, and we all work together as a team. And we accomplished so much. I mean, right before COVID, no, I'm sorry, it was after COVID, we had our best year ever. We did $100 million that year. And we've ever since then, We haven't done that much because we had a really good year that one year, but we've done pretty decent numbers every year. And as a small brokerage, I'm me and three guys. We crank out a lot of real estate. We do all kinds of leasing, of course, and things like that, but investment sales are big. Developments, we have multiple developments right now. I personally am a principal in a deal that we just acquired in Cedar Park, 44,000 square foot deal that we're condoed out and selling off right now. Um, but I can't do everything myself. And so what I realized at one point, if I want to keep the customer service and quality up front, then I have to have a team of guys that I can duplicate myself as. And what I've done is I've created that by training them and teaching them to do basically what I do, and then having them partner with me on every transaction. So I don't work on anything alone anymore, including Lucky Rabbit. I got a team of people that are very capable, just like myself. We're all very capable. And together we take action and we get things done. And we're a lot more productive. The customers are much more happy. Um, I got nothing but rave reviews from my clients with my guys because I've trained them all. And they're basically a duplicate of myself. It's hard because you got to find the right people. And that's the hardest thing that's the biggest challenge, you know?
Yeah. Well, I totally adhere to that, and not even just professionally, but personally. In fact, both the guys on this podcast with me right now, I put in this category, but I've just found that even in your personal life, if you surround yourself with genuinely good people, people
Mhm.
who have your back and want to lift you up, it just makes a whole lot of difference in your general happiness
Absolutely.
in life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and your general happiness, your productivity. I mean, people, when you have that unsettling feeling, it conveys to your friends, your clients, and everybody else. It's like I always tell people, the hardest time to make money is when you need it, because it's like your mentality's not right, right? And so,
Yeah.
I feel like, because it's not just me trying to handle all of these things, we're a team. We're all smiling. We're all working together because the burden is not all just on me. It's on all of us. And so collectively, we can get a lot more done because it's not just one person trying to do it, but also it just takes a lot of the burden off of that one individual. It makes it a lot easier for things to make it happen.
All right, I
We've
got one more question, and then I'm going to turn it over to Carl. Carl, did you have something that you want to ask
Yeah,
Matt right
yeah.
now?
I just on that same vein, you talk about being an entrepreneur is a lonely life, and if you try and do it all the time on your, first of all, the successes aren't as sweet, and the failures are way worse and lonely. So I
Mhm.
love that you figured out after some time, I think, which we all have, which is like even like this video podcast. I don't want to do this alone. Stan's a co-host, my daughter's a co-host, our friend Lindsay. So this is a community channel where we're going to say, hey, Matt, what drives you? Hey, who else do you know who might want to share a story or
Mhm.
educate or entertain or encourage somebody?
Mhm.
Because I can't do it. I don't have all the ideas, and the
Mhm.
success, if we're calling it as such, we're approaching episode 30 here. Is just as a team, it's just so much more fun and rewarding. So
Yeah.
that's good for you for seeing that. The second thing was, and maybe Stan, this is where you're going with this. The energy that I feel, just not to keep harping on Lucky Rabbit, when you walk in that joint, there is an instant energy, culture, feel that you don't get pretty much anywhere. I sensed it a little bit on 6th Street back in the day. You'd walk into
Mhm.
some of those joints, but that was live music going. But there's an energy and a fun that is there at the Lucky Rabbit that I haven't felt many places anywhere in the world.
And I think our whole staff, well, I do know our whole staff, our entire staff has been with us quite a long time for the most part. And we tell them that you don't have a bad day at work. Everybody has bad days, but you don't have a bad day at work because, that conveys over to your clients, your customers, and everybody needs to be smiling. Everybody needs to be enjoying their day. And so that gets conveyed to them. So they feel like it's a positive situation because, I've been to many places, including bars and restaurants, especially bars and restaurants, when you walk in and the staff is just not happy to be there. They're having a bad day. We don't have that there. It's really important for everybody to be smiling, be energetic, to have that convey over to our customers. We want everybody to feel that positive energy. I walk into the office even when I have a bad day. It's like, hey guys, let's go get it. Because at the end of the day, if I don't have that, then that's going to convey to them and they're not going to have it. So I always try to be that positive minded individual so that I can get everybody to not fall into that because we all have bad days, but don't bring it into your social situation because I feel like that isn't very helpful, to anybody. Um, these our real estate business, has capitalized tremendously because of Lucky Rabbit. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I pretty much when I walk in there, I need to wear a wig so nobody like identify me because I
The
can't
green
walk.
one.
I can't walk through there without knowing anybody, everybody.
Yeah.
It's great. It's been a very positive thing. It's definitely maybe not lonely, that's for sure. I get the lonely entrepreneur world, but man, we've grown such a business with Lucky Rabbit and my real estate company as well, Commercial Market Exchange, that it's busy and we've got so much notoriety because of all of it. Um, it gives me a lot of energy just seeing all these people smiles on their faces and all their support and love. And it's like, wow, this is unbelievable to me. I never thought in my life that I would be where I'm at. It's incredible.
Well, you deserve every bit of it, buddy. All right, this is the part of the podcast. Carl, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know you've got some questions that you always like to ask our guests. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Carl. Fire away at Matt there.
All right. Well, we've got some, as the show conveys, what drives you. Again, for those of you who are new to the channel, our goal on this channel is to educate, encourage, and entertain. So hopefully you either got a little education from Matt today or a little encouragement that, because if memory serves, Matt, I don't think you came from money. So
No,
to see you go from where you were to this is pretty amazing, and maybe that's a conversation for a different show. But yeah, that the it's not always about monetary success it's just success in life, right? You've accomplished a lot, and so you can share a lot with people. So we'll talk a little bit about in our last question, just kind of words of wisdom. But I did want to touch on before I ask you about the car question, because I know you're a car guy. And now when the next time I come to Austin, we're going to have to set aside some time if you could fit me in. But I owned a boat dealership. I went to flight school and soloed and ran out of money. So there's a lot of similarities that I didn't know about. So great we could learn about that and hear that story today because I was unaware. But all
Carl,
right,
wait till you see Matt's new airplane.
oh
I haven't seen it in person. I've only seen pictures, but I'm Matt's going to take me up pretty soon, and I'm going to jump out at 12.5 because I like to skydive.
I
sure.
don't know why you'd want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of fun. But anyway, go ahead, Carl.
All right. So what was your first car, Matt?
My first car was a 72 Super Beetle because I didn't have any money. I bought it for $600.
See,
We
there's
were,
another similarity, Stan. My first car was a 70 Beetle that I bought for $50 because the guy who sold it to me didn't think it ran, and I fired it up and drove it home.
nice.
So what was your favorite car in all the cars you owned?
My favorite car.
I knew this one was going to take him a minute to think through.
Ooh, well, there's so many different reasons why one's favorite over the other, but I mean, my two favorite cars would have been my 69 Camaro Restamod. I love that car. It was fast, it was fun, it was sexy, it was a great car. But then I got this new Vet and I got it tricked out and it is fast. I took it to Coda and raced it a few months ago and that's probably my favorite car because that's the only one I've done 160 in. So the
Wow.
Camaro wouldn't do 160 without dying.
All
It's
right.
my favorite.
I like the old and the new mix there.
Mhm.
I see a GM connection in both of those. Your current car. What's your current car?
I have the new Vet. That's what I'm driving right now. Yeah. And I've
All right.
got the,
So you got
yeah,
two birds with one stone there.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
last one on the cars is what's your dream car?
Uh, my dream car. I'd probably say a Bugatti or, well, yeah, probably a Bugatti. I don't know.
Whenever I think about those super hyper cars or whatever we're calling them these days, and I
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
Bugatti, you could probably buy five
yeah,
vets That's how my
Right.
brain works.
Oh,
Like,
more. You you probably buy 20 of
yeah,
them.
whatever the math, yeah, works out to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
And Pajanis are pretty amazing too. But like I like the supercars, the hypercars, that kind of stuff. But that's a whole different world there.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
expensive hobby.
Well, especially when like you could put that money to work in some other cool
Hmm.
opportunities or
Yeah.
businesses. All right. So cars, you're all good. Now here's kind of our closing question and kind of a nugget that we're trying to figure out how to use these nuggets because they've been some pretty powerful things. So I'll share a couple of the previous guests what they've said. So one of them was just simply like be nice. Be nice in everything you do. That was one of their words for wisdom. I think
Hmm.
Stan's was when we first started the channel was just get started, just begin, right? Just get doing whatever it is, just start.
Hmm.
So we've had some cool bits and nuggets. So if you were going to talk to young Matt or just the world in general today, what would you tell them would be some words of wisdom that they should live by?
Well, so everybody knows that I'm pretty high maintenance. And that's what drives me because, at the end of the day, I have so many expensive hobbies. I just enjoy so many things that are just fun. Um, it's kind of hard for me to say, but I feel like having the power of the positive mind is so important because so many people forget about that. It's like, if you have a positive mindset, you can do more in life than anybody else because there's nothing that you can fail at. Because at the end of the day, even when I fail, I keep a positive mindset and I get through it because nobody's just had straight success. I've failed more than I've won. But at the end of the day, I've won tremendously because I've always kept my chin up. And so, yes, I was not born with a bunch of money. I didn't have a lot of money. Nobody ever gave me anything. But I've always kept a positive mind. I created the salesperson that I am today. And it's given me the ability to create a lot of cool and fun things and have the support of everybody else. And so I'd say at the end of the day, if I was going to talk to somebody about how to get to where I'm at or to get where they want to be, just keep your chin up because we're going to fail. It's just a matter of how you handle that. And so I think that having that positive mindset is the most important thing that I could tell anybody to do. Be positive every day.
Good advice.
Mhm.
Very good advice. Stan, any final thoughts?
No, Matt, thanks, buddy. I know you're busy. I'll probably see you at the Rabbit tonight.
All right, buddy. Well, hit me up a little later, see if I'm heading up there.
All
If
right, man.
Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. If you guys are ever in Austin or outside of Austin, please patronize the Lucky Rabbit, the Rabbit Hole. If you are looking to build or buy a restaurant or a bar or anything commercial real estate, see Matt. I mean, he's done some incredible things. And like Stan said, he is the mayor of Austin and all things real estate there. So can't thank you enough for your time and just your story. And watch for it on YouTube. You're a YouTuber now, Matt, if you didn't know that.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Been a lot of fun.
Take care. Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.